Today we can expect massive volatility potentially in the markets because Jerome Powell will speak in less than an hour, and I will show you proof why this potential Bitcoin rejection that we are experiencing right now might be not as bad as many people think, and so much more that we are going over in today's episode. So let's go. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in here on this Tuesday. So like I just mentioned, Jerome Powell will hold a speech in less than an hour. It is, if I'm correct, in 40 minutes from now where I'm recording this video. We go directly into the DXY because I have, again, not much time left here. The DXY keeps breaking here into lower levels. I mentioned yesterday that I expect by today that we break below 97 points. That is exactly what we are experiencing here right now. And I don't see any end to that in the imminent future because we have potential rate cuts coming up by the end of the month. Potentially today already a major dovish Jerome Powell, depending on what he is going to say in a little bit. And that will, of course, spark again volatility in risk on assets. Now, when we're looking at Bitcoin, the bull flag is still intact, and I expect here nothing short of continuation in the next couple of days here with a breakout. But in the meantime, that should not be taken as that we go straight up. We can come back lower here just a little bit because of different levels that I'm going to show you here in a moment, but the overall direction is, of course, still to the upside. Now, when we're looking at the 50 minutes chart, here you get a hint about levels that we need to watch right now, especially when we think about the speech coming up with Jerome Powell. So we are currently holding on by a thread to the underlying support level of $106,300 approximately. And as you can see here, we are getting every single time rejected from this downward sloping resistance line. So every time when we come up here, rejection, come up here, rejection, come up here, rejection, come up here, again rejection, and now we went all the way to the bottom of the underlying support. Jerome Powell, as I just mentioned, will come out dovish. Expect the market to rally above this trend line and start initiating to activate this trade setup all the way up here to the high from 2 days ago to $109,000 approximately. If the speech should be a nothing burger, or he will actually now make a little bit of noise because he is with one foot already out of the Fed right now. They have potentially already a successor for him. Then I expect that we go closer to the next underlying support, not in one go, but close to it, to $104,800, $105,000, and then we can trade the bounce back into that prior support zone, which is currently still holding as support, but it will be then prior support. And at the bearish retest at the top of it, we get out, and then we'll reassess the situation if we keep pumping higher and just enter then at a later stage again, or if we actually get rejected and we can potentially take the same trade all over again. So here the entry would be at $104,800, as I mentioned, with the take profit target at $106,800. And I have to apologize a little bit that I have sometimes to stop speaking. I will come a little bit closer that you can see it in the camera. My lip is completely fucked, my underlip. Can you see how dry that is? I take some medication right now and that makes my lips super dry. That's why I have to lick over it all the time to moisture it a little bit, and it sometimes feels hard for me to speak, because of the tension of it. So please bear with me. Now on this daily chart, here you get more confluence where you potentially go first a little bit lower. We are really close to retest the golden ratio here at $105,840 at the 0.618 level, all the way up to the 0.65 level at $106,234. And at the same time, the 50 moving average on the daily is right now in the middle, sitting in the middle of the golden ratio, which gives more confluence for a potential retest here before we then break to the upside above this downward sloping trend line here, which would mark the begin of a move into a new all-time high, in my opinion. On the 4-hourly chart, we have a similar situation. Here we have broken below the 20, the 50 EMA already, and we potentially go all the way down to the 200 moving average here, which is sitting at $105,400 approximately. So why is this now a target? Because we have broken down below this downward sloping trend line and have broken below the 50. So here a quick move down and back up could be what we are looking at. And of course, only then I would potentially take a new position. So if we come all the way down to the 200, then also that might be, for me, a potential entry level for a really nice juicy setup. So in that sense, I would trade this something like this here. Where's the 200? Something like this here. Yeah. So to $114,000, an 8.5% move to the upside. Honestly, if we get $105,000, that might be the trade that I would be looking at here in the imminent short term for me personally. So we should also not forget that this is more or less around the mid-range of that overall trading range that we are stuck in now since the end of May, the last 2 weeks of May. So any move back to the mid-range of it here at $104,850, again, confluence around that level, or $105,000 approximately. This is for me a good level to potentially open here a new trade on Bitcoin, just because that is a massive, massive support resistance flip zone. On the 1 hourly chart, we have a falling wedge pattern coming up, while we are still seeing declining lower highs on the RSI. The moment that we are breaking above this line will also mark the next move here for Bitcoin to the upside. At the same time, we are slightly below a support level here of $106,644. We just lost that. And also here, the trading range at $106,500 on the 1 hourly chart. So here we need to come back up in this current 1 hourly candle that will be in alignment with the Powell speech. So we need to see here bulls stepping in right now and push the price at least back to the top of this falling wedge pattern at $106,800. If we drop here below, then also the RSI would move lower, closer to the 30% mark. And remember, every time when we come close to the 30% mark, these are usually good levels where we can start building positions. So whatever happens first, getting closer to the 30% mark or moving here above the downward sloping trend line on the RSI, these are the two major indications that I look currently for to start nibbling on a position, and then the 4 hourly chart that I just have shown here. If you want to trade with me these trades together, guys, go to BloFin. There is a link in the pinned comment below and in the description below. You can still win here, not win, you actually get a Rolex from BloFin if you meet certain criteria, plus that you will be part here of that overall trading competition. And if you deposit at least $100, I give you for free, guys, my trading course here, the self-paced course with over 52 video lessons, 25 interactive tasks, 107 quizzes. Only open an account on BloFin with the link in the pinned comment below and the description below, deposit $100 and click on the Google form link, because I need your email address to give you access to the course. Over 100 people took advantage of that already. I will extend this because I was 2 days not here until Thursday. Thursday is the last day where you can do that. Then I'm gonna stop and just work with the people that have signed up so far for the course. So take advantage of that while you can still do that, because on Thursday midnight, my midnight, I'm gonna close this opportunity again. On the 4 hourly liquidation levels, also here we are getting more and more confluence that we are ready to meet at least the 200 moving average here at $105,500 approximately, because we have here all the over leveraged long liquidity that came too late into the market for the next move here to the upside. So they did not take profit, they let it run, now they're getting punished, and most likely they think that the market will return before that. But I see here definitely a retest of the 200 moving average and then a bounce into here the $109,000 mark, $109,500, and liquidate all the over leveraged short positions that did the same thing, just reverse. At the same time, we have also a golden cross here on the 4 hourly chart that I was waiting for. And usually when we get a golden cross, like I mentioned yesterday, we get a retest of the 50 and then we get a bounce and then we continue to move here into higher levels. On the liquidation levels, also here, you get, on the liquidation heat map, you get confluence for a move to around $105,000, because here is all the liquidity concentrated. We are getting really, really close to the highest concentration at $106,282. But like I just mentioned, with the speech coming up here in a couple of minutes, I can see us coming all the way down to 105, then a massive bounce back to the upside, and then we go in direction of $110,000 in the next 48 hours. On the MDX algo scalp gradients, also here, the candles are cooling down currently. which is absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. This is our support box here to $105,700 in this specific setup. And the bottom of that pennant would be around $105,300 to $500, what I also just mentioned. Again, you see there are certain ranges that are overlapping here across the different charts. And on the reactor indicator, we have here the first dot plot. We need a second one to determine that we have here basically a short-term local bottom and now reverse back to the upside. Until this is happening, that we get the second dot plot here on the reactor indicator, we potentially will come a little bit lower, but potentially this is also really quickly over here in the next 40 minutes. On the others chart that excludes the top 10 coins out of all the total market cap, here, I just want to mention to you guys, don't get shaken out of your positions right now, regardless what happens with the speech, because historically, in July, we have always rallied in altcoins since 2021. So I want to mention that here one more time, don't get shaken out right now, because we are already a little bit overdue, not completely overdue, but a little bit overdue to get that move here. And most likely we're going to get this next week, not this week, but for that purpose, get not shaken out of your positions. If you can stomach it to hold them, because you might not get the same entries that you have right now already. You know, even if we drop a little bit, it might be still above your current entry. So don't get shaken out of this specific move now. Here on the total free market cap, which includes all coins, here we are seeing a rejection from $835 billion. Worst case, we come down to $816 billion approximately in this small shakeout. There is potentially lining up here right now. Then we come back to the top of the range, and this time we're going to break it for good and we'll start rallying to the upside. If you want to trade altcoins with me together, guys, then go to Bybit. There is a link in the pinned comment below, and in the description below you get up to $30,000 in sign-up and deposit bonuses. Here you see it here, and I still trade most of my altcoins all over there. I might potentially also start copy trading there again in the next week. Yeah, that it might be a next week thing. So make sure that you have already an account on the Bybit platform, with the link in the pinned comment below and the description below. When we're looking at Solana, sorry, I forgot to pull up an article that I wanted to have here. So we are still below that downward sloping trend line from the bump and run pattern. We got a retest here yesterday, and the retest was actually caused by the approval of a Solana spot ETF. And the crazy thing is, Solana did barely move. Now, many people ask themselves, okay, why did it actually barely move? And why did it not rally above that line and start running a little bit and then came here back for a retest? The problem is, too many D-apps holding right now Solana or earning Solana from users using the protocol, and they are selling. They're creating a tremendous amount of selling pressure, and that is basically the bottleneck for Solana not being able to break here into higher levels. And also this piece of news kind of went under with a lot of other stuff that was happening. So, and that was actually pretty sad to see, because when I saw that Solana was here approaching a trend line, I was personally hoping that we are breaking through that, but we don't get always what we are hoping for. Now, the next coin that I'm looking at is AAVE. Also here, we are currently in the golden ratio. Here I expect also a retest of the 200 and the 50 moving average at around $260. So that is, how much is this? This is like a 1.5% move to the downside, while the stochastic is already bottoming out here. The RSI is slightly turning around. Yeah, so here, worst case, we come down to $260. That is, for me, a good entry. And then I trade this to $300 here to the upside for AAVE. Then the next one that I'm looking at is Injective. So here, Injective is creating lower highs. So you see here, lower high compared to this one, how high, however that was. Then here, lower high. And we have not broken the structure yet, because we're also creating lower lows. Here, lower low. And potentially we come here now into that support zone of $9.40 approximately, and will create the first higher low. So if I'm right with this, then this will mark the reversal and the breakout move out of this downward sloping trending channel. And the probability is pretty high that this is going to happen. Hence why I want to bet on this, that this is going to play out, and gonna have a position somewhere in between that area is where I'm going to open that. So this is, of course, a big area that is like a 6% range in that area. Hence why I'm not going crazy on leverage. I'm going to use like 5x, maybe 3x. on a position like that. And first target here, the top of the range at $11.59 with a stop loss here below that low. And you see the risk reward ratio is okay, not perfect, but I can live with that. But depending on where I catch the move, maybe I get it down here. Now it looks way, way, way better. And I also make 5% more on that overall trading setup. So it really depends on where I'm going to catch it. And how low we are going here in this move. If we go only here, that's fine. If we come all the way down to the bottom to $9.35, that's also fine. But we are ready to turn around here. As you can see on the stochastic RSI, about to print a buy signal. RSI already slightly turning around. MACD not printing insanely big red candles. So let's see what happens in 20 minutes. Once you see that video, it has already happened. Yeah, and let's just hope that we can make here a lot of money today. This is already everything for today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure that you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I hope my lip will be better when I see you with more money tomorrow.